Hello everybody. Today I'm not going to do an update per se. It's going to be more of a discussion revolving around a hobby. But first off, I like to start off with touching up on a discussion that was open last night by a fellow member here, J.W. Heiser, my friend Jeff there. And then I will roll into a few topics and things that I wanted to say on my own behalf. So first off, got to thank Jeff for an outstanding job and contribution that he's made to this hobby. He's come a long way in the last 9 months on YouTube, and his appearances and information, and all the friends that have been made in the process. I will say that his fish, primarily 5 species of his that I really enjoy watching, have all come into their own and are phenomenal looking species. His Doveye big rig that he got from Skip, that male is finally coming into his own in my opinion, and you can see the potential that fish has. Phenomenal male Doveye. Next up is his Trimag Odin. Beautiful Trimag. Not too many out there in the hobby you're going to see with that potential, that quality, the teardrops. His fish is phenomenal. I tried jumping on that fish from Mike, Mr. Man 316, but he told me that Heiser already inquired about it first, and I can always do Trimax later. So I'm glad he went to a good hand, and he is looking excellent. Good job with him. The next fish he's got is Kronos. I mean, that Gorilla Blue Umbi is going to be a badass. Hands down, the forehead he's got going on, developing over his face. Dude, the gorillas, you're not going to find those profiles in any other Umbis. Bottom line. Hang on to that little Umbi right there, buddy. He's going to be phenomenal. And of course, Micro Machine. Still seem to be tricking everybody on the sex. After I've done some close review on the Umbi, I'm going to say that it is a male. He's just a little bit of a late bloomer on color. He's still a phenomenal little Umbi. Lots of potential. Already it looks like he outdid Mama Pops, which is to be expected out of the quality fish DeForest produced. Good job DeForest. And the last fish that I noticed that stood out to me is his Jag. That little male Jag he's got is going to be a boss. He's got beautiful patterns, filling out very, very nicely. Say hi to the Three Stooges down there. Larry, Moe, and Curly. Beautiful Jag. So before I get too distracted talking about fish, let's get back to the topic here. And last night, old Jefferchromis Broveye was discussing some controversy within the forums. And a little something about senior hobbyists, experienced members getting on forums and being condescending and belittling to new members, former members. I mean, I do agree with what Jeff said. I think it's bullshit. We're all in this together, everybody. This hobby is about the fish. It's about the passion for your fish. You know, the hobbies are supposed to be fun. This isn't a pissing contest. You know, these are living creatures. We all take a pride and ownership in our fish. You know, look at the export-import laws that are going on in these countries. You know, the regulations, the strict rules that are coming down. I mean, if we continue mocking and hating on each other, soon enough this hobby is going to die out. And I don't want to see that. We need to come together. I mean, yes, it's fun to belittle or not belittle, but get on there and bash each other once in a while. But I mean, keep it to the fun. You know, don't sit there and actually make that kid go home and cry to his mommy. I mean, and let alone, you know, the new guys. I mean, yes, they're gonna make mistakes. You know, and to us experienced guys, it's gonna sound like stupid questions from time to time. But everybody's got to ask a dumb question once in a while. And if you don't ask, you don't know. You know, and I think everybody should be given, you know, a little bit of breathing room on this. Each species demands its own way of keeping, parameters, feeding, growth. This all varies. So why have the holier than thou attitude? You know, all you older guys that's been around for years, you know, even before Nam, World War II, you know, you old farts, you know, you got to pass the torch once in a while, or eventually, and we got a new generation coming up. So why not give them the proper tools that they need to help ensure that this hobby succeeds? You know, there's another topic about members and on forums that I like to touch base with, and that's going to be people giving bad advice. I mean, there's always going to be controversy and arguments about he said, she said, what's the proper way to do this, proper way to do that. Well, me specifically, I surround myself with people that know what they're doing through experience. You know, I'm not one to sit there and gonna be bullshit because somebody read a book and they're gonna, you know, verbatim it to me right out of the page. I don't give a shit about that. You know, I like to learn in-house, and that's where the most valuable information comes from, is because you've tried it and you know for yourself. And when it comes to me, I'm not gonna give you advice on something that I have no fucking idea about. I mean, because in the end, it makes me look like a dumbass, and I just gave you improper information, and now you could, you know, you're gonna go fail. You know, I'm all about setting you up for success, setting myself up for success, because I'm not perfect. I'm not a know-it-all. There's things that I need to know and still learning, and I appreciate the same respect back. You know, when I have questions and need help on something, to have experienced hands in those fields that can guide me in the right direction. Like me, you know, I'll tell you straight up, I'm a breeder. You know, I'm good at what I do. I take pride in what I do. You know, I'm just now getting into building my own tanks here shortly, and setting up new filters and such. And that's a little out of my area of expertise. You know, I'm a carpenter, I can build shit, but you know, there's a little more to take in on building a tank and ensuring that it's gonna hold water for years to come. So yes, I'm going to reach out to those people that have done it in the past, and that's who I'm going to talk to. I don't care about reading the books or some know-it-all guys. And especially on the forums with the new hobbyists or the new members that come on, you know, they read this information, and then they sit there, and since they heard something that sounds good, they're going to go and relay it to somebody else and make them look like they know what they're talking about. You know, I've seen it too many times where all they do is get their information because somebody else said so, or they read it somewhere else, but they have no clue how it works. So they can't give you really solid information. All they can tell you is, hey, in order to sex that feste, the females have a dark dorsal fin, and they turn red. But they don't understand why. They don't understand that males, you know, their dorsals can darken up too. And I've seen females with spangles that you would shit on if you thought it was a male. You know, you've got to weigh out your options and people you get advice from. You know, all I suggest is before taking advice from any one person, just filter it out and make sure that the person you're talking to or getting your advice from is credible, that they've actually done this themselves. You know, like I said, I'm not going to give you advice unless I've done it myself, and if I don't know, I will find out. I've got a great group of friends that have solid information and experience in areas that I have not, and with some fish and species that I have not worked with yet. You know, you got to have an open mind and be positive about it to be successful. So for those of you guys that are new, you know, please keep a good attitude and take all this criticism and condescending attitudes from everybody with a grain of salt. You know, don't take it personal. I mean, these day and age generation people, you know, you fucking flip them off, they go home and cry to their mom. I mean, yes, I do agree that people do need to toughen up a little bit, but at the same time, you know, have a little, you know, a little patience. You know, if something doesn't work right away, try it again. You know, also research. There's plenty of threads on these forums that have solid information about 90% of the questions you guys ask. You know, and so I can understand where these experienced guys get pissed off because they see it as laziness that this guy over here won't do his research and homework on the species or the questions he's asking before he asks the question. So yeah, I think it's ignorant, but at the same time, you know, you could send him a link. You know, we ain't got to be an arrogant prick. You know, it's one thing to defend yourself, and it's another to sit there and just be a douchebag. You know, I'm not saying any names in particular. They all know who they are. So enough of that. I'm done talking about the whole member thing. My next topic is going to be one of my good friends, Umby King. A lot of you know him, a lot of you don't, a lot of you heard about him, a lot of you are going to hear about him. Umby King has been a really good friend of mine for years. I've seen what he's brought in. I see he is a huge asset to the hobby, I believe. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are jealous or hating on him because a nobody went out and collected 2 new locations of blue freckle monsters, 2 locations of black umbies, came back into the hobby and introduced them, and then the black umbies, he gave them a name, you know, aka the gorillas black, gorillas blue, which for those of you who don't know, that's a gorillas blue right there. Gorillas blue all the way. Mr. Man sent up Grendel, his gorillas black, to my father-in-law, who lives about a half hour, 45 minutes away from me, and I will get footage of him. I'll keep everybody posted on that guy when I do get into that neighborhood from time to time. Anyway, Umby King deserves a lot more respect than he's been given. You know, I can understand people envying and jealous of him, but I mean, all he did was brought a species unknown to the hobby and introduced them. He spawned them. He documented. He released, and everybody has the opportunity to have what he has. You know, so I don't understand why people come across and try to front him. Who cares? The name gorillas. If you don't like it, don't buy them. Stop reading those threads. You know, just back off. I mean, Umby King has every right to do whatever he wants. And just because that's how it hasn't been in the last 100 years doesn't mean that's how it's going to be the next 100 years. You know, because I'll tell you what, right now, I mean, Umby King and I are going to do some more collecting. And we're going to be looking for some of these other species that have not been introduced to the hobby. And you can count on us giving them some awesome names. Just because. So, with that being said, I'm not going to sit here and indulge myself in stupid, pointless arguments with people who want to sit there and just completely degrade the collecting, and all we will give are basic facts, what it is, how you can get it, you know, by contacting Umby King or yours truly, aka Freshwater Predators, and possibly a couple of our friends. There's Hades. Become a little more active. I may have to make a second edition of this video because it looks like it's getting pretty long here. You know, I had a lot to say on my mind. You know, it's hard just talking to myself. for my fish here. You know, I like feedback. So all of you that hear this and see this video, you know, feel free to give me feedback, positive, negative. I can deal with criticism. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And we will see what happens. You know, keep in mind that we're all in this hobby together. You know, we're not all Americans. Okay, this hobby is bigger than America. You know, you got the entire world is involved with this hobby. We need to come together to some standard. And I realize there are going to be controversies and disagreements, and you're going to have competition. But when it all comes down to the main product, and that's the fish, let's see that we have good quality fish passed around. And you guys want to compete? Let's set up some competition. You know, I'm down for a little competition, because I mean, no matter what, no matter how nice your fish is, there's always going to be something better. And I am very competitive, and would love to. I mean, I feel like that's going to keep my attention is rotating fish out. Always looking for something nice, growing them out to be pretty massive. I mean, you got different categories of fish that we can compare. Oh yeah, before I leave tonight, there is one thing I want to mention, and one last thing, and that is all of the cichlid information that we have at our fingertips. I do think it is lacking. I would have loved to find somebody to take the initiative, and someone that could do a way better job than me, and put and update all this cichlid information. A new cichlid book. You know, the information online, I mean, it's so outdated. We have so much new information and facts, some new species introduced to the hobby. If somebody could take it upon themselves to rewrite these books and update these information a little more accurately, I mean, I think that would set up for the next couple generations, at least, for success. So, with that being said, I'm signing off for the night, and I guess I'll catch you all on the flip side. Peace.